Hello, hello, hello. It is Saturday the 19th of September and it was whopping 3.5 weeks, I think, since I sat in this cockpit the last here in Ouarzazate in Morocco. Well, that was a bit of time that I spent traveling in the real world while we still can. There are rumors or there are indications soon will be a lockdown again, so we traveled a bit into the countryside over the past couple of weekends just to see a bit of fresh air and blue sky and, well, of course, social distancing and all. In particular, one hotel we were in, they were absolutely fantastic with the hygiene measurements. It was really, really encouraging. But now, the first weekend that I actually have time again, of course I'm going back to my flight. Today's flight, we will try to make a bit of a head start. The plan was to go down the Atlas Mountains and see on our right the highest mountain in the Atlas. Going to Agadir. That was initially the next leg that I planned, and we are going to land there. But to speed things up, we are just going there and then flying straight over the Atlantic to Madeira. We will save some time that way. Make a bit of an island flight in our next leg, and then we are going down to these islands here on our way down south, the Canarian Islands, obviously. And this is a wonderful area as well to have a sightseeing, if you so will, with volcanic islands and hopefully a lot to see. So these will be the next 3 legs, and we are going to start very soon. Alright, the engine is running, everything is smooth, we are about to contact the ground, going to our start position and taking off very soon.
Ouarzazate ground, Starling 05 ready to taxi west departure.
Starling 05 taxi to and hold short of runway ONE2 using taxiway. Contact tower on 118.11 ready.
Taxiing hold short runway 12 via taxiway Starling 05.
Alright, let's move off. Parking brakes off and off we go. Well, we know these guys are always in the way by now, so we are just ignoring them. They're a nice decoration, but, well, nothing happens to them. Bye bye, folks. Ooh, that was close to the prop. Okay, I see you at the runway. Alright, that was a short drive of, I don't know, 500 meters. We have takeoff clearance. So let's move. Yeah, so the Diamond that we are flying is one of the easiest planes to fly. Everything is electronic. It's absolutely beautiful. In the time that I had outside of flying the tour, I mean, I was dabbling in and out a bit and flew a couple of legs on my own. Not legs, sorry, I flew a couple of flights randomly. I saw how beautifully simple this plane is. Because engine stuff, prop pitch, everything is done electronically, and you basically just have to start it like an engine, like a car, and that's it. Anyway, let's get going. Alright, I forgot the flaps, and now we are off to Agadir first, and then over to Madeira. Come on, oh. Parking brake should be off, obviously, and we are rolling. I adjusted my rudders recently a bit, so I'm not that juddery anymore, so I have a bit of a factor in there. So it's not a linear input, but it's exponential input. So lower inputs are more subtle, while the extreme is then giving full rudder, which you barely need. 60 knots. Come on. Still have to do a bit more. training with this, but it's much less wobbly than the last. 80 knots, rotating. Come on. Okay, we are off. Gears in. We have a full tank, so I will get a bit of speed. Okay. Flaps in, and we are out. Turning west. Goodbye, Ouarzazate, or Ouarzazate. I think it is Ouarzazate.
Starling 05, continue for west departure. I will contact you next when you leave my airspace.
Roger that.
Ouarzazate Tower Starling 05, continue for west departure.
As you see, I put that to hotkey, so I don't have to play around with the mouse anymore, which is good. I think it is time to put on the autopilot.
Engaging autopilot.
Whoop. Okay. Alright. See you a bit later. We are going to 8,000 feet right now. We have to the first waypoint, to Agadir, it's 132 miles. Whoop. 60 minutes for the first part of the journey, and then it's another 1.5 hours. So this will be an interesting flight. Let's see. See you later. Oh, well, I will show you a bit more. Sorry. Look at this. This is the lake we came in last time.
Starling 05, you are leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved.
Okay, we will do that.
Ouarzazate Tower Starling 05, frequency change.
It's quite beautiful weather today. Again, this is live weather.
Ouarzazate approach Starling 05 is type diamond to 62.5.
Doing some course corrections and have a nice look at that rock face or at these mountains here. It's quite an interesting formation, I have to say. And look at this from the air, it looks really, really good. It's, yeah, as I used to say, absolutely fascinating. Very, very beautiful. Wow. Look at those mountains. Yeah, now we are getting onto the course directly to Agadir, and we are at 8,000 feet now. But I will get us to 14,000 very soon. Let's have a look at the wind. Where's the wind again? Okay, so we have wind from this side, from the left, so going north. And actually I found out there is a way of seeing the wind here directly in the display. Isn't that cool? So I'll probably say this because it gives you the wind components. So we have 8 knots from the left. Sorry, from the right, and we have 5 knots from behind, so that helps us a bit. Well, let's see. I'm wondering if that is the highest mountain there. I will have a gander on the map and report to you back later, okay? See you soon. Alright, I decided to deviate from the flight path a bit.
Starling 05, contact Casablanca Center on ONE 25.1.
125.1 Starling 05.
To deviate from the flight plan a bit, so I'm going course 280 now to show you Jebel Toubkal, which is basically well, on a western course or a slightly northwestern course from Ouarzazate. And well, let's deviate a bit. We have enough fuel, we have enough reserve in the tank. I'm now on cruising, and we have a bit of wind from the back, if I'm not wrong. Yes, we have wind from the back, that helps us, saves us fuel. And we will see if we can see Jebel Toubkal. I will call you a bit later and show you. It's over there, for sure. Alright, and we are back. We are more or less flying directly towards Jebel Toubkal. I think that peak there is actually Jebel Toubkal. I checked it with the maps, and this is the course we are deviating from, and you see this little lake here, which is on the map as well on Google Maps, and Jebel Toubkal is here. So this is where we are heading. We are on a very shallow climb. I just kept the engine on 6 gallons, or both engines on 6 gallons per hour. This here, it's roughly between 60 and 70% at the moment, so we have a rather conservative fuel consumption. We have a wind component coming from the back, 3 knots at the moment, helping us a little. Not much though, but that's alright. 400 to 450 feet per minute climbing. I think we might have to expedite that at some point. Jebel Toubkal is actually 13,000, around about 13,500 feet high, so it is just under our planned altitude. And actually, when I look at it now, we will be fine. We will be fine at the right time. So we'll just be above it. Well, that being said, with barometric pressure, which I adjusted, of course, but there are quite some variations, so I will not rely that I will be above by a couple of 100 feet. So, of course, I will monitor that closely. But there we go. There's the High Atlas again. This is where we came from originally. Gibraltar is around about there in Europe. And we are going higher and higher. Quite impressive. If you have to walk those up, well, good luck. You have a bit to do. It's surely not an easy climb. Rightio, see you later. Right, we are almost at 40,000 feet. I expedited the climb actually, and there we are almost, and I will go to course 260 now. So we have a wonderful view on the right. Nah, come on. Go. There it is. I give you Jebel Toubkal. From what I know, and I will verify that in a minute, I think this is the highest mountain in Africa actually. Certainly north of the Sahara, so I will double check that in a minute. Look, there's some snow up there. Quite a lot of snow actually. And of course now it's getting a bit bumpy because we're getting into the upwinds from the mountains. This is it. Wonderful. Beautiful. Oh, I'm switching recording back on. The moment I switched it off, it started to be bumpy. Look at this. My God. Holy moly. Whoa, okay. Okay. That is interesting. That was quite violent. Ooh, okay. Okay, that is the... Whoa. That is quite some turbulence. I think I'm going a bit further down in the course. Staying away from those mountain slopes a bit further, because when we fly over there, this will be very uneasy, I think. Here you see though the structures. Unfortunately, this is of course not as beautiful as it would be in reality. So this is of course just an approximation, unfortunately. But still, it gives you a very good idea of how the landscape looks, and it just looks stunning in most parts. In some cases you just don't go too close. That's all you do. Right, we're going back to cruising to save some fuel. Going back to 6 gallons per hour and continue our cruise. Alright, probably see you over Agadir. And while we are crossing some more streaming air over the mountains, which rocks us quite violently sometimes, of course I double checked and I realized why I was a bit unsure on why I said I better double check. Of course, the highest mountain in Africa is the Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. Hey, I should have known that. So apologies for that. See you soon. 64 miles to Agadir, and we are now above the basin that is being formed to the north by the Atlas Mountain, and to the south is some more rugged terrain, and you see it here on the virtual map as well. And we are following basically this river, the Asif Tifnu, which gives a lot of life to this area. You see there's much more green now, or comparably. And we will more or less follow this to Agadir. I have set us to a course that merges us with our original course. The fuel consumption is low, wonderful. We have wind from the back, 15 knots, which is great, so we are faster and save some fuel. At the moment around 150 knots ground speed. So all is good, all is well. There you go. Civilization. There are a lot of cities down there along the river up to the conurbation around Agadir. We will see soon. Alright, we are now closing on Agadir and on the Atlantic coast, and I'm checking the wind speeds, and as it is live weather I actually downloaded the app from windy.com, where you handily can even get wind speeds and temperatures at different flight levels. And at 14,000 feet it seems we have more wind from the front, so right now we get a component from the front of 26 knots that is blowing from the Atlantic inland, which means this is the indicated airspeed, this is the actual true airspeed, i.e. based on the altitude that we have and the lower air pressure. This is what the probe measures, but of course the pressure is lower, so our true airspeed is 164 knots. But if you look at our ground speed, that is just 138. So we are burning more fuel, we are slower than we can. On windy.com I just saw that at flight level 18, it is just 4,000 feet above us. We have a smaller component, so we are going slowly up. 400 feet per minute, that gives us 10 minutes climb, and we will see if this is lower up there and save us some fuel. Let's hope that is the case. Alright, we live and learn. So I checked while we are going up to 18,000 feet if my understanding was right, and apparently it is not. So what we are going to do is I'm going back down, and now I double checked the app a bit more, played around with it, and there is actually several air layers. So I was having a bad display, so I switched on the wrong layer basically and misjudged it. So it seems that the speed up here is actually worse, and which is proven. There is at about 10,000 feet the whole air layer changes. There's a very strong wind from the south up the coast, basically. We can indicate that here. Up the coast, going up here into the mountains. That is at about 10,000 feet. At just 6,500 feet, i.e. 2,000 meters, there is a very, very low wind, and funnily enough, over the Atlantic, the wind is very low. So I am going to go down again to, let's say, 6,400 feet. So we are settling up now. Because we need that fuel. Oops, that was a bit much. 6,400 feet. That is 2,000 meters. and again we are descending at about 1,000 feet a minute, and I can take back the throttle. That is enough. Alright, let's see. So right now up here 32 knots against us. That is tremendous, and we will take so much longer. Alright, let's see how it is down there, and if this time I read the app right. Alright, we are descending with 1,000 feet per minute. I made a change in navigation, so I'm going to course west 270 degrees now. Because we are going lower and flying, I don't want to fly directly over the airport in Agadir with 2,000 meters height. That is a bit too tight for comfort. So this is the airport. This was our initial navigation point, so we are passing this to the north, going down to 6,500 feet. Wind is already dropping, so that was the right decision. And yes, down there we will have a bit more fuel consumption, I think, but we will see. We will monitor that, but I think the wind component will be significantly less, so we are saving a lot of a lot of fuel that way. So let's see. It's all about trying out. We now passed Agadir Airport, which lays behind us. We have just been handed over to the approach air traffic controller because we're so low, I assume. And what I was wondering about, but it happened as I expected, the GPS calls now switched to the next vector because we passed the waypoint, and so we are merging with that one. And then I'm going back from the heading mode to the navigation mode. I also was right this time, I read it correctly. The wind component is now half of what it was before, and it's continued to drop. So I think we might have made the right decision. Our ground speed, well, is high at the moment, obviously, because we are descending very fast. But I think at 2,000 meters this picture will drastically be different. You see the wind components are continuing to drop, which is quite nice. So let's see. I haven't played with the throttle, so from 6.1 gallons per minute it went up to 6.6 gallons per minute. But I think with the difference in airspeed we are actually doing quite well. Alright, continue to cruise on a lower altitude then. Say hello to the Atlantic again. Looking down at the big river and the mound of the river. There's a lot of farming going on there. Or is that farming? No, it doesn't look like farming actually. Looks like some park. Interesting. Actually, it looks like some palace, to be honest. That's very interesting. I will have a look on a map what that is. Alright, we are now over the Atlantic and we are onwards cruising towards Madeira. And this will be a rather boring flight because there's only water and nothing else. So I'll probably see you when we approach. Okie dokie, see you later. Alright, we now reached our new cruising altitude and the cruising course, or heading, sorry. The headwind component is minuscule, while we have wind from the left going north, which is fine as well. At the moment airspeed or ground speed is about 148, which is I think about 10 knots better than we had at the high altitude with 31, 32 knots wind against us.
Sterling 05, you're leaving my airspace. Resume on navigation. Contact Casablanca Center on ONE 25.1.
They do have a habit to call up when I'm talking to you.
Going to 125.1 Starling 05. Casablanca Center, Starling 05, 6,400 feet.
Starling 05 Casablanca Center, continue as planned. Altimeter tree 0.02.
0 decimal. Oh, okay, I'm doing that. So I double checked the fuel consumption. For a moment I was a bit worried, but we do have about 17, I would say 18 gallons in both tanks, left and right. We are currently burning 6 gallons per hour. We have 2 hours and 30 minutes left on the clock, so fuel will be alright, but it will be quite a long flight because it's whopping 373 miles to go, and that will be boring, I tell you. Luckily I have a good audiobook, so see you later.
It's captains, part reptile, part cat. Their limbs covered in fur, their faces scale. Bald grotted between the wetty lines. Jagged knives and swords east into the air.
That is keeping me entertained. We have about 50 minutes flight to go, 120 nautical miles, and gosh, is that boring. There's nothing out there. It is, well, a bit of clouds. We just passed them like half an hour ago over there. Blue sky, sun is burning down. We are good on fuel, even though we will have about, if it's well, like 20 minutes fuel left once we get down. So there's not much reserve, so we used a bit through to the shenanigans that we did earlier. But yeah, this is the last 2 hours have been boring. Well, very soon, very soon, we will see Madeira. 96 miles to go, and I believe that there in the haze is Madeira. You can make it out just so over the horizon. This is where we go. 94 miles now. Oh gosh, that takes time. And we are about 37 miles out, and there it is, Madeira. On the left side, this long stretched island there is the Islas or Illas Desertas, the desert island, and we might have a good look at a part of it when we approach Madeira airport. And you see, this really looks nice. There are some clouds around Madeira. Seems to be quite a good view, honestly, that we're approaching. Really nice, really nice. See you soon. Alright, 25 miles out. It looks a bit like that this faraway island is rendered in a funny way. It's probably due to the distance, I don't know. We will get closer to this, but for now it is time to announce our arrival to Madeira. Porto Santo, by the way, is the island up there in the north.
Madeira Tower Starling 05 is 24 miles east with Alpha to land.
Starling 05, Madeira Tower. Make left base, runway 23. Altimeter tree, 0.12, wind 126 at 8.
Make left base runway 23 Starling 05.
Okay. Runway 23, that is that way. So we are going to change our heading slightly. Going, let's say, 310, slightly to the right, and changing to heading mode. So we are now off the GPS course. I'm also starting, well, there is enough time for the descent. Our fuel is low by now, so we don't have much time for shenanigans. We need to go down quickly. Alright. There's the desert island. Probably have a bit of a better look over it in our next flight, and I will see that I can preload Madeira so that all the textures are already in the cache. So normally the quality is better. Let's see. Alright, I'm getting back to you soon.
Starling 05, cleared to land runway 23.
Wonderful.
Wind 126 at 8.
Cleared to land runway 23 Starling 05.
Okay. Taking out a bit of throttle. 50%. Alright. Landing lights on. Oh. It's just there, okay. Going throttle to about 40%. Autopilot off. Flap side first, level gears out. That is a very mountainous island. Basically it is one mountain. Continuing our descent. Throttle at 0, I'm just gliding down now. Look at that. That is, by the way, as far as I know, a really flaps full. Not really hitting center line and we are down. Whoa, 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 whoa. Stay here. Okay. Right.
Starling 05 exit runway when able.
Oh, there's our taxi marking. Wonderful. This is what I thought we were going to do. There we are.
Starling 05 contact ground on 118.355.
Going to 118.355 Starling 05.
Okay. That was interesting. Taxi to gates. We're going to a parking position, right? That was alright. There's someone waiting for us already. Alright. Okay. 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 Parking brake. And that's it. Let's see. Engine. Oh, that's a while ago. Okay, we basically cut off the engines. We starve them and switch off our lights and the avionic master. Now Flight Simulator should realize that we are here, and it doesn't, does it? It doesn't. Okay. Well, thank you very much for watching. We definitely have arrived in Madeira, and gosh, that was a long fly, I can tell you. I was bored to death. Thankfully, I had an audiobook. Alright, bye bye.